What is good, everybody? Welcome to Under Review on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. I am Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Vish Kumaran. Vish, it is the Monday after the conference championship games, and the 49ers aren't done yet.
Yeah, I know, Rob. This is so exciting. They're going back to the Super Bowl, baby.
Yes. What was the lowest point for you? We're going to go drive by drive. If you're new to the show, we go drive by drive through every single thing that happened in the game. But what was the lowest point for you yesterday?
The lowest point yesterday, I think when he threw the pick, that sequence of drives, because I felt like they were always able to come back. But I think where I was like, holy crap, this is going to be harder than I thought. Even when he missed the field goal early and they went down 14-0 and all of that, I felt confident that the Niners were going to come back. I picked them to win this game fairly largely, and they dominated a portion of the game, though I was quite wrong. But when he threw the pick, I was like, holy crap, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought. But I never lost faith in this one, Rob. I just felt like the Niners had too much to lose, and the Lions didn't have enough to lose. The Lions season was a success regardless of the result of yesterday. Independent of what happened in that game, we were all going to talk positively about the Lions going into this offseason. The 49ers lost yesterday at home to the Lions. Their entire season's a failure. And I think that pressure, that urgency was always going to come through when push came to shove.
Joel Anderson says, don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. Well done, Joel. We're going to go through drive by drive, but before we do, I just want to make everybody aware of our new YouTube channel partner, Community Tree Service LLC. Shout out to them. We're so excited to have our first YouTube sponsor. If you have a yard, if your yard's a little banged up after the celebration last night, I fully understand it. I know I was running around my house like a psychopath. Community Tree Service can help. They do everything: debris removal, tree trimming, land clearing. You got stuff that needs to get out of there? Call them up. Hazard tree removal, home fire hardening from the Central Coast up to the Bay Area. And estimates are free. So dial 831-763-2391. You can email estimating@cts831.com or visit their website, communitytree.com, to schedule an appointment. Mention you heard about them from us and that you're a Niner fan. You get $200 off. If you are a Chiefs fan, they're going to charge you $200 more. So do not go there. And by the way, they are licensed by the California State License Board, license number 1100816. All right, Vishvak, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Let us,
Robert,
dive into this. Yeah, you can go full name. It's fine. And look, I feel like a lot of these drives, early drives for the Lions, we're going to say the same thing over and over and over again. They bullied the 49ers. They boat raced San Francisco early on in the run game, Vish. In the first half, the Lions averaged 5.4 yards before contact.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that. They dominated. Their offense was dominant. They were kicking the Niners' butt in terms of scheme, and they were kicking their butt in terms of talent. Jahmyr Gibbs looked untouchable. And they dominated this game early. I mean, we can go through that first drive, Rob. The first drive wasn't as much domination. It was a big explosive play where Jameson Williams looked kind of untouchable with a bad tackle miss in there. I forgot by who. Let me get my notes here. But other than that, I mean, David Montgomery had a huge hole on that first on that first run on 2nd and 6. And besides that, it was just like, they made it look easy on that first drive. It was almost like too easy. It was like, okay, the Niners haven't woken up. Okay, this is the first one the Lions are going to get. In that moment, that's what I felt. Now, it was ominous signs because they ended up dominating a large portion of this football game on offense. But it was so easy on that first drive. I was like, okay, this was too easy. They got a couple of good plays on the Niners. Like, this isn't going to continue. But, yeah.
And shout out to Jair Brown, by the way, who makes the tackle on that second down play. That could have been a touchdown. It was just him and Montgomery, and he makes the play.
Right.
But the Lions storm all the way down the field and just absolutely eat the 49ers lunch. They go up 7-0. And I was sitting there at this point, and I'm like, all right, the scripted plays, we know the Lions can run the ball. I wasn't totally shocked. I was like, I've seen this before. I've seen the Niners look bad early. They'll figure it out. And then the Niners get the ball, and it wasn't they weren't like gashing them, Vish. It looked a lot harder than I thought it was going to look, considering that the Lions had given up the most passing yards in the league since week 16.
Yeah, it was pretty contested. The first third down throw to Aiyuk was a pretty tight throw. It was a really good throw on the out route.
Yep.
It looked like Brock Purdy, right? Great timing. You were like, okay, Brock Purdy is not Rain Brock Purdy. He's back. Then he takes an absolute lick and rips it to Debo. That was another tight throw too. But I understand what you're saying because they were moving the ball. They were looking kind of like the 49ers. Purdy had already made two really great throws, but we expected them to go through them the way the Lions were making the 49ers look. We expected it to be wide open play after wide open play, yards after the catch after yards after the catch. And even early, everything felt a little more difficult, a little more contested than we expected, all culminating in a pretty, I guess, unfortunate sequence of events at the end of the drive with the Christian McCaffrey 1 yard loss, which then put them behind the sticks. And then from there, when you get to 2nd and 11 and you get an incompletion, 3rd and 11 is a hard place to be, which led to, Jake Moody missing a kick. Do we have a kicker problem, Rob Guerrera?
No, we don't. Aiden Hutchinson, by the way, one of his 2 pass deflections in the game. Those were the only stats he got the entire game. No sacks, no quarterback hits, no nothing. So shout out to Colton McKivitz and everybody on the line. Becca 49ers Giant Sharks. Shout out to you for becoming a YouTube channel member. If you want to become one, it's less than $3 a month. You get custom emojis, membership badges, priority comment response. Please do. It's a great way to support the channel. James Welsh says, Niners kept fighting, and I kept talking ish to people at the bar who were rooting for the Lions, clowning us when we were down 17. Who's laughing now? Don't worry.
That's
James.
crazy.
We will get
Good for you.
You know what? Keep the faith. If it works out for you, you look like a genius. If it doesn't, nobody's going to remember it anyway. So shout out to you, James.
I've been under the weather, so I would have watched the game alone. I'd either gone home and watched it with my parents or I'd have watched it alone, in the peace and quiet of my living room regardless. But I've been under the weather, dealing with a lot of congestion and a bad cold. And so it was not exciting to be able to watch it alone, have my phone getting text after text, call after call, and I just ignored them. But I wish I talked back then so that I would have a bigger, leg to stand on when I did ultimately respond to everybody this morning and later last night.
Nick Ellert says, Rob and Vish skipped the first half of this recap. I know. We got to go through all of it, though. Nick also says, side note, Moody bounced back and made every field goal down the middle. Confidence, still not a 10, but not dead to me. I mean, he missed wide right again, Vish. When he misses, it seems like it's always wide right. Like, dude, just aim a little to the left, and then you hit that fade, and it'll be okay. But he missed the field goal, and I was like, all right, now the door is open for the Lions to go up 2 scores, which they then did on an 11-play, 62-yard march that took up 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And, I mean, this is not even like – they're not even getting third downs.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think they hit 1 third down on the drive.
3rd and 9, yes.
Yeah, and that third down, they had a great call. They had a screen pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown on 3rd down, and they got the Niners – and it was nice and easy. They had numbers advantage. They had blockers, and he got the first down. They were making it look easy, Rob. Jahmyr Gibbs was looking like special. And the Niners defense looked like, oh, my God, they can't stop them. Like, it looked like every play they had somebody wide open or, a very positive game in the run game.
It was so frustrating. There were so many third downs in the entirety of the first half. When the Niners did manage to force a 3rd and long, it was no problem for the Lions to convert. That was the most crushing thing of all about their first half offensive.
Yeah, and we'll get to it because the next drive had the 3rd and 12 where they have a draw play to Jahmyr Gibbs that gets a first down and the 3rd and 18 throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown. But every third down, Greg Wilson kept talking about how they throw short of the sticks. They were not only throwing short of the sticks to go for it on 4th down, they were throwing short of the sticks and succeeding in terms of getting in. This was the first example. First big third down. 3rd and 9, you finally get them in 3rd and long. The Niners pass rush hasn't made an impact in the entire game. You think this is their first chance, and they throw a quick screen to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he gets the first down.
It was incredibly frustrating, and then bam, before you can blink, the 49ers are down 14-0, and you're like, whoa, like this game just started, and we need to respond here, or this is going to be out of control in a hurry. And the 49ers, to their credit, did respond. 8 plays, 75 yards. Brock Purdy, and this was a glimpse of things to come, on the second play of this drive, running around, throws back sort of across his body and finds Kyle Juszczyk for a 23-yard chunk play. It was the first of many times in the game, Vish, where I thought Brock made something out of nothing.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what, when I was watching this back earlier this morning, as much as I could get in before work, um, I didn't feel like the first half from Brock Purdy was actually as bad as it was made out to be. He was under severe pressure, but even early in this game, what happened was the defense kind of got dominated, and the Niners offense didn't really get to touch the ball. And the Lions offense was just going down the field, down the field, down the field. But when he got a chance with the ball in his hands, like you said, other than the interception in a collapsing pocket, he really made plays. And this was the first example, like you said. This was a great escape, and he found Juszczyk wide open in the middle of the field. It was a something out of nothing play.
Chris Waddell says, reminded me of the Cleveland game. Yeah.
I thought the Green Bay game was more like the Cleveland game. This game, to me, felt like a version of the Eagles game where they just couldn't get going, kept going, but the defense just kept holding on and stopping them just enough to keep them alive. And then they turned on what we expected them to turn on. And when they did, it was over.
I actually thought of the Eagle. When the Lions scored their second touchdown, I thought, this is just how the Eagles game started, except Detroit was able to punch it in.
Goals, yeah.
And the Eagles couldn't. Paul Dozer. Oh, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is we'll get to it on the next drive. Where it differs from the Eagles game is they really didn't have answers on defense for this Lions offense, scheme-wise or talent-wise. And we'll get to it on the next drive. But the 3rd and goal play, they catch a break for them to be able to kick a field goal in the first place. They had a beautiful little screenplay set up to Gibbs.
We haven't even.
Yeah, okay, fine. We'll get there. But I'm just saying, like, when we're going to that example, we have to be a little accurate. And while it does apply, like, for me, the defense is a worry in totality when I felt like they didn't have answers this entire game. Like, I felt like the Lions choked it away, and those were kind of the stops the Niners got. And then, the stops they did get in the first half were, again, Lions mistakes. We'll get to it. My fault. Go to Paul Dozier.
Paul says, how amazing this game was is just starting to hit me this morning. Let's get a 6th. Aiyuk catch should be called the fluke to Aiyuk. I love that.
A catch. I like that.
Yeah, the catch, like a catch in 49ers lore, has to be a go-ahead touchdown at the end of the 4th quarter on 3rd and 3. I don't like naming every big catch the catch and then just the number. I don't think it gives enough credit to Dwight Clark's catch and to all the other subsequent plays. Like, give them their own identity. I like the fluke to Aiyuk. I think that's pretty good.
Fluke to Aiyuk is sweet. I love that.
And it rhymes and it acknowledges that it is a little fluky.
Right.
The Niners continue on the drive. They throw a pass to Christian McCaffrey, and he is so damn good, Vish. He stiff arms the soul out of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Yep, and he breaks 3 for 28 yards, and then ultimately he ends up getting the 2-yard touchdown. Christian McCaffrey has never had a bad game for the 49ers. He was so damn good in this one, squeezing out every possible yard there was to gain. He is incredible.
Yeah, Aiyuk had the most legendary 49ers skill weapon moment in this game. And I thought he would have the strongest game of the 49ers skill weapons, not named Christian McCaffrey, I guess, because he has a great game every game, like you said. Just because of the corner matchup. I didn't actually feel like it turned out that way. Christian McCaffrey, like you said, he's the engine. He's the driving force. He was great versus Green Bay when it counted. He was outstanding in every moment of this game, like you said. And then the other guy to me was Debo. I thought Debo was awesome in this game. Debo was the other engine of this team. Excuse me. And man, Rob, these guys, like, it's crazy to me to watch both Christian McCaffrey and Debo. Like, just the little things when both of them are healthy in terms of run after a catch, how efficient an offense can be just on their sheer will and toughness and their competitiveness. Like, this team has so much grit, and we're going to talk about Purdy's grit as we get into the second half, but every single player on this team has, like, that grit. Like, there's like 8 Jauan Jennings running around in different versions, and he takes it to a different extreme.
Absolute beasts. McCaffrey, 24 touches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. McCaffrey has at least 1 touchdown in 5 straight playoff games for the 49ers. That is a franchise record. Jerry Rice didn't do that.
Wow.
Taylor, Terrell Owens. He is that damn good. He is him, as the kids say. Matthew,
does that mean he scored in every playoff game he's played for the 49ers?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think so. Because he scored versus Seattle, scored versus Dallas, scored versus the Eagles on that legendary drive, scored last week. Wow, yeah, that's insane.
He's a freak. It's incredible. Matthew Sanders says, so we got to score 40 against the Chiefs, right? Not necessarily. We'll plenty of time to break down that Chiefs game. I think that game is probably going to be a score closer to the AFC Championship game score than the NFC Championship game score, Vish.
Yes, but they got to get out on a lead.
Yes.
Because the Chiefs have learned how to play with their defense, and they've learned how to play a game manager style where they give their defense a lead and let their defense close the deal with Mahomes playing just like perfect football. You got to get it. You can't come back on them the way you can come back against a bad Detroit defense, let's be honest, a bad Green Bay defense, let's be honest, and not Patrick Mahomes at quarterback on the other side converting third down after third down.
I agree. Matthew also says Juice got to try out for the ballet when he retires. He had a sweet 2 catches in this game. Both of them were absolutely fantastic.
Right.
We'll get to it.
Doesn't it feel like every time he gets an opportunity to make a play in the receiving game, he looks like better than any second tight end that they've ever tried other than Jordan Reed? And for whatever reason, they don't like use him in those kinds of plays. I don't know if it's just a look thing. They don't want him in line, or they don't want him taking certain hits or running certain routes in line. Maybe he doesn't do it as well as the natural tight ends. But every time he gets an opportunity, he looks good. Even his red zone run was nice and physical.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I can't disagree. Becca 49ers Giants Shark says watching Richard Sherman rip Skip and Keyshawn Johnson a new one this morning was hilarious. F the haters. Also, has anyone taken you up on the Twitter follow offer? Yes, a couple people that have become YouTube channel members have DM'd me asking for a follow, and they have been quickly added. So if that is the deal breaker for you, I'm happy to give you a follow on Twitter.
Wow. Look at that. It is huge. Member. See, I told you. You have so many followers. People want to be followed by the guy who's followed by Kay Adams, the Up and Adams show, all these big deals.
Yeah, by the way, Kay,
Chris Sims, Mike Greenberg.
Have me on, Kay. I'll be in Vegas. Have me on. We got to do that. Okay, so next.
By the way, real quick thing on the Sherman Skip, because I don't know if you see it. I'll always check him out if the Niners have a big win now, or obviously if the Cowboys lose. Skip is legendary. Who I never would have thought that Skip Bayless's television match would have been the athlete version of Skip Bayless, which is essentially what Richard Sherman has become. Like, he's the Cowboys Skip Bayless for the Niners and the Seahawks. And somehow it's so endearing when he does it for the Niners, as annoying as it is when Skip Bayless does it for the Cowboys.
And that's all the Skip Bayless talk we're going to have on today's program. Lions get the ball back. They are going down the field. They have 3rd and 10. They convert to Amon-Ra St. Brown again. Drive continues, and Jared Goff gets
By the way, another one short of the sticks there. Fred Warner missed the tackle.
It was infuriating. Nick Bosa gets a sack on Jared Goff on 2nd and 10 at the 50-yard line. Vish, did you notice? No shrug celebration from Bosa. I think
somebody else did it. I saw that. He was like, we need to get going. Wait, before the Bosa sack, though, did you hit the Jahmyr Gibbs run on 3rd down? That one was pretty backbreaking.
No, there wasn't a Jahmyr Gibbs run on 3rd down on that drive. It's after the sack. It's after the sack. No, wait a minute. 3rd and 15, they go to Laporta for. Yeah, no, there was no Gibbs run on that one on 3rd down. You're thinking of a different drive.
Oh, you're the drive before the interception. That's my fault. I'm looking at a different drive. That's my fault. Go ahead.
Bay Marin says, for some reason, everybody today calls a declined defensive pass interference a must pick. How is it even possible to pick a DPI? Technically, they picked up the flag, Bay. I think they would have called the penalty if Aiyuk didn't catch it. But
that would have been a tough penalty to call, man.
It was not a penalty. So they threw the flag, but they picked it up. So that's just a little clarification there.
I think we could call it what it was. I think it's going to be made more than what it was in that game. Like, I think it's very simply we can acknowledge that it was a turning point, momentum shifting moment in the game. And it was an interception that turned into a 50-yard catch. We don't need to say it was a perfect throw or that it was this or it was that. That's what it was, okay? Now, does that take away from the fact that that was one play in a 17-point comeback led by a quarterback, and we're going to cover all the other little things he did to win this game? Mm-hmm. I don't think it does. We don't go back and rehash 28-3 and say, Tom Brady, guess what? You did check it down to James White 15 times in that game. That's why he broke the Super Bowl record in catches. I don't say, Robert Alford, you threw the ball right to him, and Julian Edelman caught it, and that was not an interception turned into a catch. Like, we just say he came back from 28-3. We don't rehash Tom Brady's other Super Bowl comeback and say, well, Tom, you really struggled versus the Legion of Boom until Jeremy Lane intercepted you in the red zone, snaps his wrist and tears his ACL on the same play, and then you pick on Thorold Simon for 2 quarters, and that's why you like. We don't do that for other comebacks, so we don't need to fake what this was, in my opinion, because I see a lot of people are like, oh, it was pass interference, or oh, it was actually a perfect throw that Aiyuk was going to run through the corner who was on top of him and go catch that ball. I didn't see all of that. Maybe that was the case. I didn't see all of that. He overshot him. He gave him a chance one-on-one. The corner was in a good position. He didn't bite. He bailed over the top. He was going to pick it. He didn't pick it. Aiyuk caught the ball. Then Purdy did a lot of other really great things for them to come back and win that game too.
Go Google Lawrence Billups Super Bowl real quick. Joe Montana threw the ball right to Lawrence Billups of Cincinnati. He dropped it. The next play, the Niners won.
That's on the famous drive in '88, right?
Guess what? The tuck rule, pure luck. The immaculate reception, pure luck.
David Tyree.
Let's not act like there are not plays in Super Bowl runs that are just complete and total luck. And also, a lucky thing, and then somebody makes a great play, like immaculate reception. Ball gets tipped. Franco Harris catches it, or maybe he doesn't. Who knows? But they called it a catch. He ran it in for a touchdown. This is nothing new in the playoffs. We have seen plays like this all the time. We're not even there yet, but
right. But no, these type of like kind of flukish things just tend to happen. Now, I will say, before we get there, Rob, one of the I guess heartwarming things for me as a fan going through that game is I've seen that iteration of game happen to so many teams I'm rooting against in the playoffs, like in New England, for example, a Chiefs, where it feels like a run of momentum and things just start to go so right for them. It's like, how does everything go right? And for the first time, I felt like it was my first time watching it, but sitting back as a Niners fan, watching the Aiyuk play happen, then watching Gibbs run the wrong way on a run play. We'll get there. And he basically ran into Tashaun Gibson's hand, okay? Like, Tashaun Gibson inadvertently swipes this ball out as he's grabbing Jahmyr Gibbs, and the ball falls out right to Eric Armstead. Like, watching these things happen, Rob, it was very heartwarming. I haven't seen that kind of meant to be with my Niners before.
Hey, you know what? Again, it takes both things to happen. It takes the Lions to mess some stuff up, and it takes the 49ers to capitalize on those opportunities for a comeback like this to happen. If you look at every comeback in the history of the NFL, you've had both, because you can't do it alone. You need the other team to screw up. But just because the other team screws up doesn't automatically give you the second part of that. You still have to make the plays, and the 49ers absolutely did. Chris Waddell says, Mooney shut down Amon-Ra St. Brown in the second half, 0 targets, I think. Mooney Ward played a good game. How do I know? Because I didn't hear his name for basically all of it, which is usually a good sign for a corner. So, Vish, Niners make the stop.
Let's go back. Right.
Niners make the stop. They get the ball back. It's 14-7. There's 10 minutes and 17 seconds left to go in the second quarter. And I'm like, all right, here we go. We made a stop. We're going to respond. We're going to tie it up, and we're just going to put our foot on the accelerator, and disaster happens. Because Brock Purdy drops back. It's 3rd and 10. 3rd and long. We know that's not a good situation. And as Brock is throwing, his hand just gets a little tipped by the defender. The ball comes out a little high, and boom, Lions intercept it. And I was like, oh no, this is the thing that it might not happen now.
Yeah, me too. That was the first moment I was like, oh crap. And it wasn't because I was losing faith in the 49ers offense to score or run down the score. It just felt like the defense was incapable of buying a stop, and the Niners needed a drive to kind of settle momentum there. And it felt like the momentum was so overwhelmingly in the favor of the Lions in that spot, and then he throws the pick additionally to it. And I've had the same feelings as you coming into that drive. And then Debo had a really good run on an end around on that drive, and I thought it was going in a positive direction.
Yep.
But the plays preceding the interception were ominous to me. When you go drop back pass, incompletion, drop back pass, incompletion, I think every 49ers fan knows that unsettling feeling. Now, every football fan probably knows it watching their offense. But I feel like for us as Niners fans, when the offense loses its rhythm and it goes drop back pass incompletion, drop back pass incompletion, these type of 3rd and 10s are normally scary situations in general. And this was just a tough spot where they got pressure because it was 3rd and 10, obvious drop back pass. The pocket collapses on Purdy. He tries to make a really tight throw from a really tight pocket. to Debo Samuel, and it gets, kind of deflected, or his arm gets hit. It comes out funny, and it comes straight to Malcolm Rodriguez, who picks it off.
Great play by the Lions. They didn't drop it, right? He's no Darnell Savage. He makes the pick.
No.
They return the ball to the 49ers 46-yard line, and 5 plays later, they are in the end zone. Jahmyr Gibbs runs it in from 15 yards out. Again, another drive for the Lions where they didn't have a single third down on the drive, and Gibbs runs it in, and it looks like Chase Young is dogging it. It looks like a lot of linemen are dogging it. Nobody looked like they wanted to make a tackle. And
he made Tashaun Gibson look funny on this touchdown.
He saunters into the end zone, and it's 21-7, and I'm like, are we going to wake up here? Like the season, it's starting to swirl the drain.
That version of Jahmyr Gibbs is crazy player.
He's a problem.
He is. He might, other than Christian McCaffrey, he might already be the best running back. You think?
I don't know about that, but he's certainly up there.
He looks, oh my God, he looks good.
Mazine Eltham says people underrate just how good the Lions offensive line is. I mean, like I said, they ran for 5.4 yards before contact in the first half. They were bludgeoning the 49ers. So it's 21-7.
I look, that was, to me, look, I don't know, man. They were missing their Pro Bowl guard, Jonah Jackson, in that game. Frank Ragnow was playing with every injury known to mankind. Their 2 tackles are excellent. Their O-line is very good. That was definitely not the best version of their O-line. I don't think it was simply a case of, hey, their O-line is very good. I think there are some schematic advantages they took over the 49ers defense.
It could be
both. Had them to me. They had them
both. Yeah, I mean, on the Lions' first touchdown, clearly that play Kyle mentioned, basically it was like perfectly schemed up. They got the perfect look for the end around, and they dominated it. So Niners, obviously, they give up the touchdown. It's 21-7. I'm still thinking, okay, we respond with this drive, and it's a game again. We're right back in it, and instead, the 49ers go 3 and out. 3 plays, no yards, less than a minute in time of possession, and it was just incomplete. And it was a struggle. And Mitch Wishnowsky punts, Vish. Little did we know, that would be his only punt of the entire day, came in the second quarter.
Yeah, it was a great punt, too.
And it was a great punt. Yeah,
it was a booming punt. It's probably
6 yards.
Yeah, it was probably the best thing between the last 2 drives that had happened for the 49ers.
Right. Yeah. Sadly. So, okay, Detroit gets the ball back, and here they go. Just moving right down the field. 5-yard run on first down. 6-yard run on second down. 9-yard run on first down. 6-yard run on second down. They are just flying down the field. Finally, the Niners get a stop on Gibbs for -2. They go to the 2-minute warning, and then Goff tries to go deep to Laporta. Was that the flea flicker at the 2-minute warning? I can't remember if that was a flea flicker or a trick play or a regular play off the top of my head.
But I thought he just missed. He overthrew him, and they had him in. I think they had him on like a corner out in man coverage versus Greenlaw.
Yep, you're right. It was just an overthrow.
He beat him. He beat him. Yeah. He overthrew it, yeah.
And then it's 3rd and 12, and I'm like, all right, finally. What do the Niners always say? We've earned the right to rush the passer, right? 3rd and 12, perfect opportunity to get off the field, and instead they hand it to Gibbs, and he runs untouched for the.
Looks like he was looking like Barry Sanders, dude.
13 yards, first down. It was just a backbreaker.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was unreal. This was the first third down. It was like 3rd and 12. They got him. Niners can get the ball back. They can double dip and do what Shanahan does. Next thing you know, you're going into the half. It's 21-13. It's 21-14. Like, you have a chance of, or excuse me, you're going into the half. It's 21-10 or 21-14. And you have a chance to then come out of the half with momentum and have the ball and possibly cut it to a 1-score game or possibly tie the game or do whatever. And so this was a really like big moment for me in terms of a turning point. When you asked me the first question of the show, like, when did my belief go? Yes, the interception was probably the lowest moment, but this was just like, they can't do the one thing that they can do to allow themselves to come back into the game, which is what I thought they could do. But it's like they keep shooting themselves in the foot. Like, you get to 3rd and 12 versus this offense stopping them on first down, getting a negative play. It becomes so difficult throughout that first half, Rob, that getting them to 3rd and 11, it felt like it was a difficult thing for the 49ers offense. We just talked about the last drives where they were going not third down. They were going first down, second down, first down, second down, first down, second down. And when that's happening, you're like, holy crap, like they're unable to even get them to third down where we think the Niners D-line can get some pressure on Goff. They can force him to make a mistake, force him to make a tough throw. Like you think that's their number one opportunity. Finally get them to 3rd and 12 around midfield, still get the ball back, still double dip. There's time left on the clock. A little over, a minute 50, I think, at the time. And Jahmyr Gibbs, like that was a backbreaking moment.
But here's the thing, and I agree. And by the way, Nick Ellert says that play was the play that made me think we were about to get blown out. And by the way, over 500 people watching right now. Thank you so much, everybody. Like and subscribe to both channels because this is streaming on Vish's channel. Subscribe and like the Gold Standard YouTube channel and Vish Kumaran's YouTube channel, please. And thank you. I promise you, we will continue to earn your time. The Niners their back didn't actually break in this game, Vish. That is a moment where they could have got demoralized. Hey, we're down 21-7, and we're just giving up this third down. It's just not our day. And what happens on the next play? Nick Bosa sacks Jared Goff, -8 yards. And you're like, okay, we set him back again. Maybe we got this a little bit.
Second, they got him a free rush.
They run the ball on 2nd 18. The Niners stop them again. Hargrave and Armstead. Great. 3rd and 18 at the 49ers 42-yard line. Like, hey, we play this right. We could either keep them out of field goal range or we could, hold them to a field goal. And we're, that's kind of a win for us. And then what happens? Jared Goff just drops back right to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jair Brown was absolutely in a blender. Didn't even have his head looking at the play when the ball was thrown. And the Lions convert again. That, to me, was a crusher in the game. But ultimately, as we know, it didn't crush the 49ers, but it certainly crushed me at the time.
And yeah, that was like the only moment he threw the ball past the sticks, right? Greg Olsen made it a talking point the entire half. I did watch this game with sound down, by the way. Big mistake. They were really annoying. But Greg Olsen, the entire half, kept talking about how they throw short of the sticks more than anybody to go for it on 4th down. So naturally on 3rd and 18, because I think the previous 3rd and 15, they threw like a verticals underplay to Sam Laporta where they had him come underneath some vertical routes, and Dre Greenlaw cracked him. And so I thought they would do something similar. All the Niners have to do is rally, make the tackle, and put it in like it's 3rd and 18. Make it like 4th and 10, 4th and 9, 4th and 8. Make it difficult for Campbell to be able to go for it in that situation. Instead, they drop back and actually throw the ball down the field after not doing it on 3rd and 12, which was a little bit shocking for me in this moment. And Jared Goff throws an absolute strike. Clean pocket, and he throws an absolute strike to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
And so the Lions continue to drive, and then they get down in the red zone, Vish, and the Niners defense bows up, and they stop them, and it goes to, 4th and goal at the 3-yard line, and this is one of the key decisions that Dan Campbell had to make on 4th down. He decided to kick the field goal and make it 24-7 going into the half, which I actually think was a good decision by Dan Campbell. But, it did feel like a little bit of a win for the 49ers, even though they were down 24-7.
Right. There's two things. One, this is where I thought they got a little bit. I'm not going to say it's lucky, because as Colin Kaepernick once really eloquently said, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So I think the Niners also had to take advantage of moments, but this is where things went wrong for the Lions that really affected them as much as the Niners just executing and not messing up in these spots. This 3rd and goal play, they had a really nice play set up on a screen to Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jahmyr Gibbs falls down. I think Jahmyr Gibbs probably scores on the play if he doesn't fall down. He falls down, right? Well, no, it's just this stop is really big because it's the first decision-making point. If they score a touchdown in this play and make it 28-7, it's a very different ball game. The fact that they make it 21-7 because Gibbs falls down, right? Now you get to 24-7 because he kicks the field goal, which I thought was the right decision, because my immediate thoughts when I saw whether he would go for it is, I hope he goes for this. Because I remembered the 2021 AFC Championship game where the Chiefs had a similar situation at the end of the half. They were up, I think, 21-3 or 21-7, similar score against the Bengals. 4th and goal from the 1, they got cute. They tried to throw some swing pass to Tyreek Hill. He gets tackled. Half ends. Bengals have momentum coming out of the half. They come back. So in my mind, as a Niners fan, I'm thinking, okay, for all the crap that went in the half, if he goes for this and the Niners get a stop, they can use that momentum at 21-7 to go back and rally outside of the half. I thought it was the right decision as well to kick the field goal, but they were also fortunate that Gibbs fell down.
Remember, Kyle said before the game when he was asked about Dan Campbell going for it on fourth down, Kyle said, yes, it's an opportunity for the offense, but it's also an opportunity for us and the defense. And he was 1,000% right, as we'll get into in the second half. Keith Foster says, I wish Kyle would stop deferring to the second half. I think it helped him in this game big time. It absolutely helped them. They got the ball first. They were able to get a little momentum. So I don't know. I kind of like it, Keith. I think it helped.
I like deferring to the second half. I think it logically makes sense. And then the one thing I'll say about aggressiveness, and this is where I think the analytics kind of lose it on going forward on fourth down, where I agree with them in a lot of cases, but this is where I think football coaches and the analytics fall apart in terms of how they think of it. I think football coaches look at fourth downs, and missing on fourth downs is essentially turnovers because of the way momentum shifts, because of what happens. And I think when you look at the value of missing on fourth down as the same thing as throwing an interception or the same thing as losing a fumble, the variable in terms of how it shifts momentum in a football game is very different from just, okay, a drive failed and you punted the football. There's an emotional factor tied into missing on fourth down. I actually agreed with all of Campbell's decisions. I think the Lions players ended up making mistakes. I think the most egregious one was the run on 3rd and goal late at the end of the game. I keep getting ahead of us, but
Yes.
I think that oh my God, send CJ back to 8 Mile. Bang, bang. Come on, Rob.
Zach Lowe show. Man, CJ Gardner-Johnson catching some heat. Don't worry, Vish. We're going to get to all the
That was dirty, by the way. We didn't touch on that. The hit on Debo was dirty.
And he put his hands up like I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
it's like,
he didn't want that.
You
he
know,
didn't want that. Yeah.
Did you see Debo's tweet to him, by the way? Debo.
I did. And I thought Debo's response after the game was real good. Debo is really, really good at standing on business, but not talking too much in the media, but also like he handles that like really beautifully. Thought it was fantastic. And I think now we also know why Javon Wims got so mad in that wild card Nickelodeon game back in the day.
I think you're right. Tony says, fun fact, Dan Campbell was on that Giants team that Jeff Garcia brought the Niners back to win the game when they were down 38-14. I remember that. Yes, there's actually a clip of him, Dan Campbell, on the sidelines, like throwing his helmet. And Jeremy Shockey is like, oh, this guy's a little crazy, which if you get Jeremy Shockey to do that, you must be. Okay.
Right.
So,
my dad texted me the same thing this morning, funnily enough.
Niners,
my dad are on the same wave.
By the way, there's almost 600 people watching. This is awesome. Like and subscribe to both YouTube channels, The Gold Standard and Vish Kumaran. Thank you, everybody. And if you are just joining us now, we go drive by drive through the game on Mondays every single week. And you picked a good time to join because now we're getting to the fun part, Vish. Now we're getting to the second half when everything starts going the 49ers way, including on the opening drive of the third quarter, 3rd and 4. And once again, what do we see? Brock Purdy drops back to pass. It's not there. He's got to scramble around. He throws the ball to Jauan Jennings, who reaches up with one hand and snags this thing, takes a hit, goes to the ground, and the drive continues. And that was huge because ultimately the Niners would end up getting a field goal.
He went full Odell Beckham in the middle of the field. This is one of the craziest plays that because of the Aiyuk play, because of the Gibbs fumble, and because this drive only ended in a field goal, it's not talked about in the comeback. First of all, the escape here is ridiculous. It's amongst many excellent escapes he had in this game, but this one is ridiculous. Then you get into just the daring of him, and we've seen the daring all year. Somehow the daring always seems to work out for him. Like I said, the Mike Florio phrase, he's got a shamrock up his ass.
Yes.
He does kind of have that because he floats this ball over the middle of the field. It's back across. It's the scariest thing, but it's just Jauan Jennings and the linebacker. It's almost like time is frozen and nobody else is in the middle of the field for one time. It's just Jauan Jennings and the linebacker, and then Jauan Jennings makes an insane catch. It's actually somewhat similar now that I thought about it to the Mahomes play specifically to yesterday. The one he had to Kelsey at the beginning of the game where he was flying around and he kind of floats it. It was an ugly throw over the middle of the field, and then Kelsey like dives out of nowhere to catch it. It was a very similar thing. By the way, we missed on that one of the third downs. Speaking of another great scramble and kind of like crazy play, but it almost worked out where he threw the ball rolling out to his left to Aiyuk, and Aiyuk like dove and got two hands on the ball, but didn't catch it. Like there was another one in there. There were a lot of crazy Brock Purdy scrambles combined with throws that kind of made your heart drop, but then turned out to be pretty accurate. And this was one of them. And yeah, it was Mahomesian, very similar to the one yesterday.
If Mahomes like made that exact play, people would be like, "Oh, Mahomes magic," all this stuff. Purdy makes it, and we forget about it.
I mean, I don't know, dude. Like we said magic for a touchdown. Like he threw a touchdown doing this, rolling back to his left, back, floating a ball. It's not even like a ball on a rope. It's floating a ball back over the middle across your body. It's a scary thing. He's been doing that a lot, though. But I think he's been getting fair enough credit for it, for sure. I don't think that that's something, but I think those plays are scary business.
Oh, definitely. And you don't want to live in that world. But hey, when you need it, sometimes you need it, and it has been there. Unfortunately,
it's just the balls to make the play, though, right? Like you're
right.
already losing in the game. Like you need something. It's the balls to take that risk in that moment. It's the poise to take that risk in the most calculated way you can. It's the toughness, the grit to make that play outside of structure when you really need it. Those are the little things that come across, right? And that's what we saw the entire second half.
Brock has that dog in him, as the kids say. Unfortunately, the Niners would not get another first down on the drive, so they trot out Jake Moody again from 53, who, to his credit, Vish, drilled it.
Yeah, this is why I actually, Rob, I'm going to be serious because we're going to talk about Jake Moody over the next 2 weeks a lot. Yes. I actually have nowhere to go in this conversation because here's the thing. I don't know. I seriously don't know, because you can point to the kicks he misses and how shaky they look. But then I can come back and say in the Green Bay game or this game, these are kicks that are really, really important in terms of the Niners being able to come back. Because getting points from just this, hey, momentum, give your team confidence, give your defense some confidence. The offense is moving. They're coming back. Like, it's meaningful. And these aren't easy kicks that they're having him make. They're having him make 50-plus yard kicks. And to me, for a guy that has the quote-unquote mental yips, whether he does or doesn't, I don't know. But just from the standpoint that he's missed kicks, the pressure's on, and all of that, he seems to have no issues coming back and making these kicks. Yes, it was 43 yards. You're right.
Did I say 50? I apologize.
You said 53. You said 53. You confused me. The Green Bay kick was a 50-yard kick, though. The Green Bay kick was a 50-yard kick. But either way, the pressure that's behind making these kicks and the fact that he comes and drills them, and it looks like the previous kick didn't matter. I don't know where I stand on Jake Moody. I'm just hoping that as long as he doesn't cost the 49ers 2 weeks from now, then I don't need to know where to stand on him.
Look, it's been more good than bad, right? That's what you can say with Jake Moody. It hasn't been all good, but it's been more good than bad. Matthew Sanders says, analytics is dumb when it puts playoff games in the same bucket as regular season. Glad we have Kyle and not Stone Cold Steve Austin. He screwed the pooch. I
don't think he did.
I don't want to get into a whole, the value of analytics conversation. I just think that's such a tired debate. You've lost. Analytics are part of football. Get over it. You've lost the war. Just like baseball is run by people that are, believers in analytics. The war is over. It's a thing. It's happening. You just have to adjust your thinking at this point. But the 49ers get the field goal, Vish, and this kicks off.
By the way, can we hit that real quick, though? Did you think Campbell screwed it
up
for them? I didn't either.
No. I don't. I think that people are judging it on the result rather than the process, which is what we always do when it comes to that. So this kicked off.
By the way, and not even judging the results of other things that happened, just the one specific fourth down, like Josh Reynolds forgetting his hands at halftime.
Right.
That's not remembered, right? Like Jahmyr Gibbs going the wrong way on a run play and fumbling, that's not remembered.
Right. And so it's a flawed analysis, I think. But this began an 8-minute stretch for the 49ers, Vish, where they would score 17 points. It was unbelievable because the Lions get the ball back and they're doing their Lions thing. Just when you thought the 49ers adjusted, they're going down the field. First down, second down, first down, second down, first down. Moving down the field, it's 3rd and 4. They go Amon-Ra St. Brown up the middle for 2 yards. They handed it to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't remember that.
They ran they motioned him back into the backfield and they ran a Deebo Samuel counterplay to they ran inside zone with Amon-Ra St. Brown. But this is an incredible tackle by Fred Warner.
Yeah, Freddie. All pro Fred, baby. And it brings up 4th and 2 at the Niners 28-yard line. So Dan Campbell has a question. He can kick the field goal to make it a 17-point game at 27-10, or he can try and go for it. I understand him going for it, but to me, I would have kicked this because you make it a 3-score game and there's not that much time left. a 3-score game is a big deal to me. You know, I always say field goals are failures. This was, to me, was one of the rare instances where I would have kicked it, but I also understand him saying, hey, if we get a touchdown, this game is probably over, and it's 2 yards. What I was surprised about, Vish, was not so much that they were going for it. Why didn't they run it? They were running the ball all over the 49ers, but they chose to pass it, and it was a good pass by Goff. He stepped up. Bosa tried to make a hell of a play to get to Goff, and Goff steps up, and he throws a perfect pass. A perfect pass that is just flat out dropped.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what happened. I was shocked that they threw it. I don't necessarily know that I can buy kicking a field goal in that situation. I understand it. But at the way I saw it also, too, if you're Dan Campbell, is I think that the Niners offense, I don't know. I looked at that second half, the way the first throw to Debo looked and all of that. I guess also had to do with my bias coming into the game. I thought the Niners offense at some point was going to get going. Like the Lions defense wasn't going to be able to continue to stop them. We're talking about an objectively bad Lions defense, though they played very well at portions yesterday, and a very good Niners offense. Like at some point, to me, the Niners offense was going to open up the floodgates and be able to score. So you weren't going to be able to hold on to a lead in this game. You had to build on it because you had a leaky faucet for a defense. They've had to deal with this situation all year. So that's why I understand him going for it. It's like, Shanahan, why are you still aggressive in the 28-3 game? Well, he could have sat on the ball and kneeled 3 times and tried to chew as much clock, game after drive after drive, and just sat on 28-3 in that game. Maybe they win, but Brady was going to run them down. Brady was going to score every possession. They needed points. And this was kind of that situation, I felt like, a little bit too. Not to compare Brock to Brady or the 49ers to that, but I felt like the Niners offense at this point, I just felt like they were going to keep scoring. They were going to keep coming back. And that's why the Lions needed to be aggressive, and that's why they've been aggressive in all those situations, winning games despite not having a very good defense.
So when that happened, I was watching the game with my son, and I turned and looked at him, and I said, the door is open. It's open a crack, but it's open because it's 24-10. But I just kept thinking, if we get one drive, it's a 1-score game, and then the pressure's on Detroit.
Right.
Then you're going to see them pee down their leg a little bit because they've never been in this situation before. And so what happens? The 49ers go on a 5-play, 72-yard drive, Vish, and now we can get to it. Brandon freaking Aiyuk.
Right.
I need to highlight Brandon Aiyuk, Vish. In this playoffs, just this year, he has 6 total catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. Every single one of Brandon Aiyuk's catches has gone for either a first down or a touchdown, and he makes the play of the game. And you can call it a fluke if you want to, and I agree that it was, but it's a hell of a play by Brandon Aiyuk. A hell of a play. He has absolutely been wide receiver 1 in these playoffs.
I mean, he's made the most key catches for the 49ers in these playoffs, right? The big third down versus Green Bay, that Purdy made a great throw. The one off his feet versus Green Bay that, he was a much needed first down at the time. The fluke to Aiyuk, as our friend in the chat coined it, which I love. I don't know if he's been receiver 1 in the playoffs. I think that this offense evidently goes through Debo, and it's been going through him.
Aiyuk has made impact plays. He hasn't had the quantity, but he has the quality. His catches have been massive. 2 of his 3 catches in the Green Bay games, massive first downs, very difficult catches. 2 of his 3 catches in this game, hugely difficult 100%. Catches. So
no, 100%. I mean, yeah, but to me, receiver 1 doesn't make just, the most important catches. You have to be consistent throughout the game and make the important catches if we're talking about that kind of player. And I thought Debo was outstanding in this game. I don't want to turn this into an Aiyuk versus Debo. We'll have that conversation when we need to have it. Aiyuk was fantastic when it counted, specifically on this drive. I loved he saw a ladybug landed on his foot comment. That was real perfect. That was a great way to say it after the game. The concentration to catch this ball was fantastic, to not give up on the play when it looked like Vildor was about to pick it off. And then the touchdown catch was also a really good throw from Purdy and a great catch. And it all of a sudden, it felt like there was a different kind of momentum. You asked, when did I feel it was done? When even before Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles, that was the cherry on top. When Vildor deflects this to Aiyuk, I was like, oh, that's the moment. I felt like even though the Niners were still down 24-10 at that point, I felt like they were going to win the game.
when that happened, I felt like maybe we're just destined to come back and win this thing. Like with that kind of a play. And you know what, Vish? I'm in a good mood. So what the hell? Let's do it.
Purdy out of the shotgun, drops a couple of steps, going to take a deep shot to Brandon Aiyuk. It's deflected.
Oh, he caught it!
Caught! Aiyuk caught it out of the air. A flag is also down. Did Aiyuk score? He got touchdown on the 2-yard line.
That's going to be DPI and a deflection, and Brandon Aiyuk never gave up on the football and came down with it.
Credit to KMBR.
That was awesome.
Papa and Ryan on the call there. Shout out to them. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible play. And you're right. It means nothing if Aiyuk doesn't catch that touchdown on 3rd down. And I thought that was big also because it eliminated the choice from Kyle Shanahan, right? What does he do on 4th down? Does he go for it there? Now, he probably goes for it, but we never had to cross that bridge, which is massive. Niners get the touchdown and the extra point, Vish, which I know, yeah, you should make your extra points, but it's big, obviously, because it makes it a 7-point game.
Right. And I will say 3rd and goal, if we're talking about the Purdy clutch thing, yeah, okay, he got lucky that Aiyuk got the ball down to the 6. This was a tough throw at that point in the game. 3rd and goal from the 6-yard line. You're not exactly inside of the middle of, being in a rundown situation. It's a pure drop back pass. It's a tight window throw, and he rips it and he makes it. That's a little thing that makes a big deal in a comeback like this. So shout out to Purdy there.
Hell yeah. Absolutely fantastic. So the Niners get the touchdown and it's a 7-point game. And I remember saying to Michelle on Friday, if this game is close, it's going to become real for Detroit and they may get a little frightened. They may pee down their leg. They've never been here before. And what happens? Niners defense comes out on the field. First play, the Lions try and stabilize things, right? They try and go back to their bread and butter. And what happens? This happens.
Hands off, awkward handoff to Gibbs.
Ball!
He fumbled the ball. He got hit. He fumbled the ball. The 49ers have the ball.
Bang!
Eric Armstead recovers the fumble.
Credit to KMBR again. Papa.
That was unreal too.
Ryan just totally, he was all of us in that moment, right? When he the ball, I fell over on the floor in my living room. I actually put it in my Instagram story. My wife took a picture of me. I was like, is this really happening? It reminded me of the Super Bowl in 2012 when Ray Rice fumbled and the Niners got the ball back. I was like, I can't believe it. The train is rolling down the tracks. This thing is happening.
I don't know if it reminded me of that. I don't remember my emotions during that game. I think I was
you're so young,
so down after what happened in the first half that there was not even solace in the good things that continued to happen until it was oh my God, they actually might win this game. And then they didn't for me with that game. But this was a moment, what I described to you at the beginning of the show, very similar to what you just described, where it was holy crap, it's meant to be for the 49ers. You go from the deflection straight to Aiyuk, to Gibbs going wrong way on the run play. And if you watch the replay, the Terrell Brown one you're describing was an unreal individual play by Terrell Brown to reach across Ray Rice, force the fumble, then have the balance and the athleticism to stay in bounds. And the ball not going out of bounds was the lock in it. But then he also recovered the fumble. It was an incredible individual play. This is Gibson pretty much inadvertently trying to grab Gibbs, and he hits the ball. His arm is going across, trying to stop Gibbs' progress, and he hits the ball. Ball falls right out. And this is where, compared to last week, right? Demetrius Flanagan fouls on the Keyshawn Nixon kick return. Out of nowhere, inadvertently runs into the ball, hits it out. Of course, the Packers guy makes the greatest recovery known to mankind, right? It felt like that moment, a sliver of luck for the 49ers was not actually luck. In this particular case, it falls straight to Eric Armstead. He's there. He looks down. The ball's right there. He recovers it. It was the moment, Rob, where I didn't feel meant to be, because I feel like there was so much expectation and pressure, even as me as a fan watching this game for the Niners. It felt like the Niners couldn't lose this game. It felt like I'd be more disappointed if the Niners lose this game than I would be happy if they win, because I already had an expectation for them to win this game. I know, real spoiled and entitled of me, but that's just how my emotions work. And so when that happened, Rob, the Gibbs fumble happened, I'm not going to lie to you, that was I took a sneak moment ahead. Not just, okay, it's meant to be. It's oh my God, there's something going on here for the Niners. Is it meant to be overall? 2 weeks from now, is it just meant to be? I had that moment after the fumble.
Some teams have that horseshoe up their ass, man, and we'll see if the Niners end up finishing. Viking Samurai 7, new YouTube channel member. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Again, less than $3 a month to become a YouTube channel member. It's a great, great way to support the channel. So the Niners get the ball back, and here's their chance, Vish. You're set up on the Detroit 24-yard line. You don't even have to go down the field. It is on the platter for you. And I remember thinking, if they don't tie it here, they're never going to tie it. And fortunately, they go right down the field. Well, actually, you know what? I forgot about this. Kittle catches a ball and loses a yard, and it's 2nd and 11. And Purdy has the first of multiple 20-yard scrambles on 2nd down and saves the 49ers bacon and sets them up in a goal-to-go situation.
This was one of the plays of the game for me. This was actually just a fantastic run. It was just a fantastic individually athletic play. It was a fantastic run. He finishes it physically. And then the emotion, he's got a little Debo, Christian McCaffrey psycho to him too. When he runs and he hits somebody, he's got that same emotion, and it's like overwhelming the way it comes out of him. And it's a lightning rod for the stadium, right? Like, there's a different spark. The people do the Purdy Jimmy comparison because their team success is so similar. Yes. And now you have the other variable of both of them, their full seasons healthy starting. They're playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So people are going to talk about that ad nauseum, comparing this game and the two teams, comparing that to 2019. But there's a difference. Look at that. See, I told you everybody wants it. But there's a difference between Purdy and Jimmy in the sense that Purdy's energy, like we talked about with Jimmy, he was like constantly even keel, and we complimented him on that. Purdy's also even keel, but it's not. Purdy also just rallies this team and brings energy to this team the way a Debo does, a Christian McCaffrey does. Jimmy never did that, but Purdy makes plays and then reacts after plays in such an overwhelmingly positive way. I mean, I was just watching the Australian Open right now, right? It's like after a big set or a big game or a big break point, that overwhelming show of positive emotion in tennis, because it's an individual sport. They talk about uplifting your emotions and upliftingly showing that. That's why my favorite player, Rafa, says Vamos, like that, the famous Rafa Vamos after like a big break point is like huge. That's what that is, and that's what Purdy just brings up the crowd. He brings up the team. Everybody gets up. This run was just an incredible play, and I wanted to talk about it only for 2 or 3 minutes because to me it was one of the most important plays in the game.
And you're right. There are certain guys, when they make big plays, they provide juice to the team. Debo, Kittle, Brock is absolutely up there. And Debo's joked after the game that if he doesn't get in Brock's way, Brock might have gone for a touchdown, which is true.
I thought he was going to run Debo over. He tried to push it, but Debo wasn't moving.
No one pushes Debo. He might have gone in for a touchdown. Brock does not look to go down. He looks to gain as many yards as possible, and he always dives forward. He never slides. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and then he has a moment to himself where he just, like, unleashes.
Yep, and it's fantastic. And here's what I liked about that drive.
We're all in our living room unleashing with him, right?
Yes.
I'm in front of the TV showing the same Brock. Yeah, of course. Okay.
You're doing the thing.
Are you doing that? Don't do that on camera. I don't think you should do that.
Well.
Unless you want to turn into a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson moment.
Here's what I like about that drive. First play, they go to Kittle. Second play is a Brock scramble. Third play is a Debo run. Then the fourth play is McCaffrey. That's who should be touching the ball. They get the ball to their stars. And Mike Silver had a great article. I don't know if you saw this, Vish. He got a quote from Kyle Shanahan. Apparently, Kyle told his assistants in the second half, players over plays. He was determined to just let the best players on the field shine, and they absolutely did that in the second half, and they tie it up, and holy crap, Levi's is going crazy. The Lions are peeing down their leg. And when they tied it up, I was like, even if they trade scores back and forth, I think the Niners can win this thing.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the players over plays. I didn't see that. I think that, we've talked about so many different things in this game. One thing we can definitely add in the players versus plays is a great segue is the maturity of Kyle Shanahan. His growth in managing this moment, not losing his cool, not trying something like even a year ago, right? This is the same guy that tried to go for the 2-minute drill with Josh Johnson at quarterback instead of just taking 14-7 into the half. And Josh Johnson threw a pick, got hurt, and things went even more negative in a game that the odds already got so stacked against them once Purdy got hurt. Mm-hmm. And so just his poise, keeping his poise in these type of moments, the way he's coached through the moments, the way he's dealt with not necessarily having a schematic advantage in either game. Like, you could argue the Niners have been outcoached from a schematic standpoint, which doesn't happen a lot. But in this game, the Lions offense had it. Like, they had it. Ben Johnson was cooking.
Yep.
Like, they were cooking the Niners defense. But just to be able to rely on his team, the fact that they've been there, the fact that they're more talented, the fact that they're steadier in these moments, the fact that they have the home field advantage, using all the veteran, mature variables that are already to their advantage, really weird way of saying that, was, I think, really important. And I think it shows Shanahan's complete maturity. And I love the players versus plays quote looking ahead as well. A lot of people's gripes in the second half of the game, 4 or 5 years ago, is that Debo never really got involved in the second half of that game. And I think this is a great example, and this drive is a great example, that this team needs to, especially when the offense gets some momentum, it needs to play through 23 and 19. And I love that players versus plays means that you're thinking about getting the ball to those two guys first and then going from there.
It was such an encouraging quote, like 3 words, but oh my God, when I read that, I was like, yes, maybe he is starting to evolve a little bit. Chad Marshall says, was that a hurry up? I thought it was faster. I don't remember off the top of my head.
That's a great question. I don't know. I have to go back and watch that.
They did seem to go faster when they needed to, though. Again, I thought they managed this game very, very well, which you have to do in order to come back. So Lions get the ball.
The emotions of it, the clock of it, like all of it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, the emotions too. That's a good point. So the Lions get the ball back, and they struggled a little bit. They tried to run it again. They went back to the ground game. They only gained a yard. They go incomplete over the middle to Laporta. It looked like he was going to catch it, but he ultimately couldn't catch it. Then it's 3rd and 9, and Josh Reynolds is wide open, Vish. Wide ass open, to quote Bruce Arians. And he just clang, hands of a snake, drop the ball. And that's when I said, the Lions are in their heads. Like, Laporta drops it, Reynolds drops it. The Lions, it's snowballing on them. They got in quicksand a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. This was one of the turning points of the game. Like, when I talked about the Lions just being so young and Jahmyr Gibbs making a mistake, that the Niners just kind of took advantage of the fact that they were more poised in the moment. They didn't make those kinds of mistakes. This was another one of those. Josh Reynolds, I know the Lions were betting inside of their facility a lot this year. No, I'm joking. But Josh Reynolds left his hands at halftime. And this was a moment where he was open. The throw was right on him. He just drops it. And then the second part of this, they had an opportunity to play the field position game. And Jack Fox punts a ball further than I've ever seen anybody punt it. And he punts it straight. And it's almost the greatest punt I've ever seen. And you could have downed this ball at the 5-yard line, and it's still the greatest punt I've ever seen. It bounces at the 5-yard line. The guy waits for it to bounce all the way damn near the end zone and then tries to do the toe tap flick back in, even though he's already there, and wastes that opportunity creating a touchback. It was a stupid moment in that ball game where they could have flipped momentum based on a punt, and they gave it away. They let him off the hook, as Denny Green would say.
You're right, because then the Niners are at the goal line. It's tied. If they get a safety, who knows what could happen in that. The punt was so good. It was a 74-yard punt. Fox punts it from the Lions' 15-yard line.
Yeah, he boomed it.
He killed it.
Yeah.
And that's a massive, massive play, because instead of starting at the goal line, of course, the Niners start the ball at the 20-yard line. They gave it to Juice on the first play. Boom. Immediate first down. Kyle Juszczyk making a play. Then it's Christian.
Whoa. What do you mean, boom, immediate first down, Kyle Juszczyk making a play? This is the play. This is Houdini Brock Purdy. Guy comes in, closes in on him. Where's Brock Purdy? Oh, he escaped. Rolling out to his left, flipping his hips like he's Patrick Mahomes. Throwing a dart to his left, and then you got Kyle Juszczyk out of nowhere. Is that a bird? Is that a spaceship? No, look, it's Kyle Juszczyk toe tapping like a receiver for a first down. Come on, Rob. We needed the KNBR for that. You just walked over that like it was any other play. Come on, do better, Rob.
I didn't give it enough credit. That's true. I do have the KNBR. Like, I don't have it queued up, but I have the audio in the system. I just didn't, I can only queue up so many plays.
No, I'm messing with you. But that one was one that I know that you didn't want to miss. I just don't think you realized for a second that it was that moment.
You're right, because I couldn't picture it in my head. But that Brock play, I was a guest with the Lions podcast. First Bite, it was the Pride of Detroit, SB Nation Lions community. And they asked me on the show, what's Brock Purdy's superpower? And I said, his elusiveness. He has elite elusiveness up there with anybody in the league. Lamar, whoever you want to put, he's incredible at it. It's bewildering. And this was one of those plays. And this was the biggest difference, Vish, right? Jimmy Garoppolo, that's a sack. That's a sack. That drive is maybe over after that play, even though it was first down. Brock didn't just take what could have been a negative play and turn it into a neutral play or a positive play. It was a first down. It was a first down. So that's why this whole like game manager thing with him, it just does not apply, because that's not a game manager play. That's a game changer play, Cam Newton.
You're absolutely right, and I think that there's something I want to add to it. Like, additionally, on top of being elusive, he is explosive as well. He's both explosive and elusive. He is very good at making plays off schedule. He has a good feel of when to take a risk, when to just get a completion, but how to keep you efficient while playing off schedule. And I think that there's additional context that needs to be added to that. One, a point that I just think needs to be made about greater quarterbacks in general. A lot of people constantly associate athleticism, with being able to play off schedule. They feel like both of those things, like if you're an athletic quarterback, therefore you can play off schedule. I don't necessarily look at it that way. Your athleticism gives you a greater opportunity to extend plays, but there is a feel and a knack to be able to make plays off schedule as well. I mean, let's talk about Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, for example. I complained about this where with Trey Lance, I felt like, he's got the requisite skills of a conventional player who's good off schedule, but I haven't seen him really do that with natural feel or knack. Brock Purdy doesn't have the Josh Allen size or the stature to be able to play consistently off schedule, but he has the knack and the creativity to make plays. And the second thing is that creativity was harnessed for him at Iowa State. I posted an interview when he first started because there was a really cool interview on the Ross Tucker podcast with him and Sage Rosenfels, former Shanahan and Iowa State quarterback. And in that interview, he said that Mike Shanahan, and this was last year after Brock Purdy's first game against Miami, loved Brock Purdy over the course of last offseason, training camp, and all of that. But what he talked about with Brock Purdy is that Iowa State's offense made Brock Purdy operate in chaos a lot. It made Brock Purdy play off schedule a lot because it was not like the most sophisticated system. So he's used to playing in messes. He's used to playing in chaos. And that's why I think that skill, being with the less talented team in the Big 12, that skill has been harnessed for him. He has worked that skill. It's become second nature for him to be able to make plays off schedule. He's so consistently good at deciding when he should run, when he should throw, whether he should throw deep, whether he should throw short, how much time he has. He just has a great knack for making plays like that. And I'm so glad you highlighted it, especially versus Jimmy, because it is an important distinction for me. Like it's like Kirk Cousins with athleticism and a little less arm strength. Like that's the comp I've come up with Brock Purdy skill set wise and player, like how he plays. He plays like Cousins from the pocket, but then he has this added dimension that Cousins doesn't have, which is that he runs. And so I think it's really cool to see, because the next game, again, because the Jimmy comparison comes up because who they're playing in the Super Bowl, it is an important variable to show a difference between the two. And by the way, the other thing in the second half, not to cut you off, additionally, one more point while we're on the differences from Jimmy, second half, he didn't put the ball in harm's way either. He was very clean with the ball.
Well, I think that was partly due to Kyle. Like he, they were throwing a lot of shorter passes, a lot of passes to open guys. I think
shorter passes with Jimmy G.
Well, not with Jimmy. No, I mean with Brock in this
game.
No,
I know. I'm just saying, like, they did that with Jimmy G, and my guy would still throw it to you and I if we're on the other team.
I saw a stat. Where is it here? Average depth of target in the championship game. Patrick Mahomes, 5.9. Jared Goff, 9.4. Brock Purdy, 10. Only Lamar Jackson was higher at 10.8. So Brock most of the time was throwing it deep or throwing it further down the field than the other quarterbacks. But I think in the second half, I liked what Kyle dialed up for him. And if you get the Brock off scheduleness combined with what Shanahan can do in structure, now you've got the best of both worlds. And that is ideally what we wanted with Trey Lance. That's what we were all hoping for. And I said it during the year. This is the kind of offense we were hoping for with Trey Lance, because you've got the best of both worlds, and that makes you dangerous. And so the drive continued, and Brock on 2nd and 9 hit George Kittle for really his only contribution of the day through the air. And it was a nice, wide open, Kittle open, scampers for 28 yards.
Lower tackles.
Right.
Ignited the crowd.
Yep. That's what Kittle do, baby. And then they go back to McCaffrey again. And then 2nd and 6, Vish, another Brock Purdy scramble. Doesn't just pick up 6 yards, picks up 10 yards.
100%. Got them into the red zone. At this point, Rob, I was thinking, oh my God, like they could turn this, into something a little bit ugly for Detroit. Like this could be the game that I expected just in one half. Now, he ended up taking 2 sacks from here, which were probably his only 2 negative plays in the second half. They were 2 sacks that were not needed. One was kind of a covered sack that you probably want to throw away. And then one was quick game, ball didn't come out. And if ball doesn't come out in quick game, ask Aaron Rodgers what happens. That's what happened to him week 1. It's a bad place for the offensive line to be. And so I think that's really, if we're saying Rob, honestly, I don't think his first half one was as bad as it was made out to be just because of how ugly it looked for the entire Niners offense. But the second half, Rob, definitely, I feel like that those 2 sacks were probably his only negative plays.
And you know what? He didn't force it. A negative play was he still protected the ball. He still gave them the opportunity to put up points. He didn't try to force it over the middle or try and throw it away while getting hit and maybe have it lead to a pick. He ate it. And you know what?
And he didn't knock him out of field goal range by taking a crazy, terrible sack either. It was still a 33-yard kick or a 35-yard kick, something like that.
Right. They lost 9 yards combined on the 2 sacks. And then they threw it to Debo on 3rd and 19 and he picked up 7. So they really only lost 2 yards.
Right.
And Jake Moody comes in for the 33-yard field goal. Boom. And then the Niners have the lead. And you know what? You could say it's a short field goal, whatever, but there was a hell of a lot of pressure on Jake Moody to make that kick. Because if he misses it, then everything's for naught, right? And you don't have a lead. And oh my God, it's terrible. And then we get to hear about Robbie Gould. He made it. And the Niners.
I didn't even think of that. That's a great point.
Oh, yeah, I thought of it. God, every time 4 comes out on the field, I'm thinking about it. But he makes the kick and the Niners go up. And it's okay. We've done it. I can't believe this. Now we just got to manage this last part of the game. And this is it's not hypothetical anymore. We did the hard part. Now let's go finish it off. But the Lions get the ball back. And what happens, Vish? They start going down the field again. Jamison Williams, 22 yards, first down.
Looked like it was another receiver dropped it. He dropped it into Ambry Thomas. I thought it was a pick and he gets up with the ball.
I was how many times are we going to have an interception turn into reception for the other team? That was crazy.
Right. That was Jordan Addison-esque.
And then they go back to Montgomery and he gains 16 yards.
Right.
They go Goff deep to Jamison Williams.
This was the flea flicker. Flea flicker. Jamison Williams didn't track the ball and it ended up he looks up and it's dropping right through his hands. Yeah.
Goff again. You can't put this loss on Goff, man. He made throws when he needed to make them. He can't throw it and catch it. But you
can put it on the Lions just being a young team.
Yes.
And this game just being I think that's what it comes down to. You can point out oh, the Lions probably made more mistakes in this game than but I think part of holding your nerve in a game like this, or in moments like this, it is one team being better and better equipped to handle those moments, handle those situations. And they were just a young team and they're young players, Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs. Josh Reynolds isn't young, but they made mistakes when it counted.
And on 3rd and 10 from the Niners 37-yard line, one of the few times the Niners bowed up on 3rd down, they give up a 7-yard completion to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And here it is, 4th and 3 at the Niners 30-yard line. Here's another decision by Dan Campbell. What are you going to do? Are you going to kick the field goal and tie it up and, make the 49ers have to keep playing? Or are you going to be aggressive, try and get the first down because you want to score the touchdown and you want the lead back? And Campbell decides he's going to try and go for it. And shout out to the right side of the 49ers defensive line who gets pressure on Goff, forces him to roll to his right. Goff has a receiver on a little drag route going over the middle of the field, but he can't see it and he can't get it to him because of the pressure. He rolls out to his right. He throws it up to try and make a play. It flutters, incomplete. And then
it was 10 yards. It was 5 yards short of Amon-Ra St. Brown. But you're right. The pressure is what affected this because they had a big dig with Amon-Ra St. Brown open up right in the middle of the field, wide open. And he gets moved off his spot and he's unable to make the throw. This is the one that I feel like they should have kicked. Just because this was a point in the game that I think points would have been meaningful. Just tying the game back would have been okay, yeah, we've just had a whirlwind third quarter. Yeah, this team is coming on at us at home, but we're okay. We're still tied. We're still in this game. We just scored. Let's regroup and play a good 6 minutes, 7 minutes and close this game out. Now, it's easy for me to sit here and do this from my bedroom. Like, it's very easy to do it. I'm not actually there coaching a football game, and I've never had that experience. But if I had to give my 2 cents, because we have this platform to give my 2 cents, this was the one I thought he should have kicked.
Ramaram 84 says Fox should have kept showing the Lions Stadium in the second half. Yeah, they showed it when something good happened. They didn't want to show it again when the Lions were crumbling in the second half of this game.
Come on, that's tough. That's tough. I liked the Lions in this playoffs. Just their fans, all of it was cool.
Oh, sorry, America. You don't get the Lions. Womp womp. Go back home and bite some kneecaps. Get the hell out of here. A real team.
Wow.
Anyway, Niners get the ball back. They're up 3. And this is the biggest drive of the year for them to this point, because if you can get a touchdown, basically the game is over at that point. And I love what the Niners did. First play, boom, give it to Christian McCaffrey. Just don't throw it to him. Just hand it to him and let him make magic. And he does for 7 yards. Second down, they throw short to Debo, and Debo just does what he does, right? They throw it in the flat. There's a guy right there, Vish, right there. And Debo refuses to go down, and not only does he not go down, he picks up 8 yards and a first down.
100%. He looked like Debo. This is players, not plays. Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel. Then they continue with Christian McCaffrey. Then 3rd and 4, you get probably the game clinching play of the game. Now, they ended up punching it in, but this was the moment where it was like the ultimate FU to the Lions. You finally get them to 3rd down, and Purdy scrambles. In this scramble, he just looked unstoppable.
I mean, again, 3rd down, need a play. He drops back. There's nothing there, right? Or he didn't like anything that was there. I haven't seen the all 22, so maybe there was something, but he didn't like it. And another 21 yard scramble by Brock Purdy, not going down, making guys miss, using his legs. And I do think part of it is that defenses underestimate how fast he is, or how quick he is, or whatever you want to, whatever adjective you want to use.
He's got the Kyler Roadrunner where his legs just go. Yeah. Except Kyler's like footsteps somehow for me feel like quiet. They're like,
because he's so little.
Brock Purdy is like, each step feels like violent and explosive. It feels like his legs are like breaking the ground as he's coming.
And where does Kyle go immediately after the Brock Purdy scramble? Right back to Christian McCaffrey on first down. Hands it to him for CMC's final carry of the day, actually, because he got a stinger at the end of this play. CMC,
the Reuben Foster Memorial.
Breaks it off for 25 yards, bringing all the way down to the 3-yard line. And then, did you notice on the Elijah Mitchell play where he runs it in? Listen to it when you watch it. Elijah Mitchell has such fresh legs. When he gets this ball, listen to the collision at the goal line. It is the loudest thing. He just smashes into the defenders right into the end zone. 10.49er lead. And at that point, I was like, we've got it. There's no way they're like, we've got it now.
Agreed. I was not listening to the collision. I was irritated heavily with Greg Olsen by this point, and Burkhardt. But I was not listening to the collision. I was too busy celebrating, Rob. They were going to the Super Bowl.
Ramaram
joy, Rob.
Ramaram 84 says McCaffrey is the MVP if he scores that 3rd touchdown. Yeah, like if he stays in, he's getting his 3rd touchdown of the game there. No question.
This drive, I will say this while we're on Shanahan too. I love the aggressiveness to think touchdown. He didn't think clock. He didn't think this. He didn't think that. It was first things first. We need to score a touchdown. That was the perfect mindset for the drive. I loved the aggressiveness. And then players, not plays. I love that quote because I loved how this drive was all Debo, all McCaffrey. That's where the ball should be.
Get it to them every time. That's where you have your biggest advantage. Those guys are mutants, man. Those guys are mutants. They will do mutant things. And to their Niners credit, they did, and it worked out. Now, the Lions are in hurry-up mode, right? They've got to score, and they're driving down the field, and they're moving the ball, and they're not using their timeouts until they get down to the goal line. And this was another kind of like the management of this stuff. And I don't think that coaches think about it enough. I thought actually that Greg Olsen was pretty good at this point in the game. 1st and goal at the 9-yard line.
Yeah, he was. But he doesn't need to explain to us after every down the 75 different things the Lions need to worry about with the clock, okay? Like, we've seen football before.
Ferkser gets the completion on 1st and goal at the 9, and he steps out of bounds at the 1-yard line. It looks like he got in. He steps out of bounds at the 1. On 2nd down, they throw a ball, and it's incomplete, and it's 3rd and 1, and this is the choice, right? If you pass and at least it's incomplete, like you don't have to use a timeout. But if you run it and you're short, you have to use a timeout, which of course hurts you when you have to try and get the ball back. And that's exactly what happened. The Lions ran it. They didn't get in. Kinlaw and Fred Warner make the stop for minus.
Hey, shout out. Penetration on this play. So Ambry Thomas gets hurt. Logan Ryan, fresh off the bench playing nickel, not Isaiah Oliver, Logan Ryan. I thought he looked more comfortable at nickel than he did at safety, and this play is made by him. He triggers so fast. He gets penetration. What happened?
I just got an email from Zach Gilbert. We went ahead and approved the week of game credentials, which we will provide access to the media center. However, we will not be able to provide access to Radio Row.
Oh, you're not on Radio Row?
That is interesting. You should have received an email a short time ago. Yeah, we'll see if I can get onto Radio Row or not.
Oh, it's like that. It's like that. You're going to be going and talking back to the pals at NBC, ESPN. You know, you'll probably be walking around that place. You're Rob Stats Guerrera.
Interesting. Well, we'll figure it out. Anyway.
Either way, what I was going to say was Logan Ryan, phenomenal play on this run play. He's the one who really makes it. And then Warner comes in and cleans it up. And he could be starting at nickel in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we'll see. Poor Ambry Thomas. But anyway, ultimately it gets to 4th and 3. The Lions score a touchdown on 4th down. Nice throw by Jared Goff. They keep hope alive. They have to attempt the onside kick. They bungle the onside kick because not only do they not get it back, but they actually touched it before
illegal touching
yards. And so that's it. Niners
George Kittle makes up for his Brandon Bostic onside kick from week 1, 2021 versus Detroit at Detroit by recovering this one.
And so the Niners get the ball back. There's only one thing left to do, and you know what it is.
Just back up here, Brock. Take 1 or 2 steps back up, go down. It's over. The Niners are going to Vegas.
I love Greg Papa coaching him through the drop on the kneel down.
KMBR, Greg Papa, Tim Ryan on the call. Thanks to them for that. And that's it. George Kittle's words come to pass, Vish. I will be back.
That's the first thing I thought about. Is it not?
And I will be back with vengeance.
And he was not asked about it after the game. That's the question you have to ask George Kittle.
He manifested it, but this is where I think the fan media thing works in sports. Fans are so engaged in this and they care so much. They remember, like, that moment, that quote was meaningful to us as fans. These reporters, all of them, they don't give a shit about that. Like, that's not meaningful that George Kittle said that. For us in that moment, when we felt down and Ahkello Witherspoon's like, what the hell is going on? And George Kittle is saying that. Like, that was like, oh my God, I feel that. I'm saying that aloud too, even though I have nothing to do with what happens in this football game or what happens in the season. And so, yeah.
So that is fantastic.
Oh, people are saying he was asked about it after the game. Gee, Rob, I just took a shot at the media thanks to you.
I didn't see that in the press conference. I thought I listened to the whole press conference. I apologize. I must have missed that.
Yeah, I forgive you, Rob.
Alberto Soto says he was. I don't know. I need to go back and watch again. But anyway, I think that's why people say you can't be a fan and cover the team. Hell yeah, I think you can. You can. You have to be objective still, but you can absolutely be a fan and cover this team. We all do it here on the Gold Standard Network every single day. We're live on this YouTube channel every single weekday covering this team, and I think it makes our coverage better, frankly. You know how I feel about the 49ers.
You just care. And I think that's something that's meaningful when you're covering it. Like, you care enough to remember things that, you know, other people don't. And that moment for me as a fan, that dude, 29, I still feel the sickness I felt to my stomach after this 2019 Super Bowl. That was like a tough moment. I was 19 years old, so I was pretty old, but it was still hard for me to stomach and go through. And that quote at the time, like, dude, that's what I wanted him to say. Like, it felt a lot. It meant a lot to me, even though the game really didn't have a meaningful difference on my life. It meant a lot to me that he said that in that moment. I just don't know what Ahkello Witherspoon was doing there. He was like,
Alberto Soto says he's 1,000% sure he was asked. Apparently KMBR had a clip about it. So that's my bad then. I missed it. I apologize for that. I'm going to go back and watch it right now. But Vish, this is a top 5 49er game of my life. When the Niners were down, I said to my son, I said, look, if they're going to come back, the good news is it's going to be one of the greatest comebacks in the history of the National Football League. And it is. It's tied for the biggest comeback in NFC Championship Game history what we just saw is not normal. I keep telling people with Shanahan getting back to the NFC Championship game every year is not normal.
Dude, let's go over that. 4 NFC championships and 2 Super Bowl appearances in 5 years, and he's done it with 2 different starting quarterbacks. 2 different starting quarterbacks, 2 NFC championship games, 1 Super Bowl each with different ones. That's insane. If he puts a Super Bowl on this is a legendary, iconic run with this team.
Absolutely. Now, the win also gives the 49ers the most playoff wins of any franchise in NFL history. They are number 1 now. He has as many playoff wins as his father, Mike Shanahan, which I thought, that's cool. Now, obviously, Mike has the 2 Super Bowl rings, so that's a little different. But nonetheless, that's it for Kyle Shanahan. He's checking things off the list, man. And I know you got to get one more. I'm there with you. Trust me. I get it. The job is not done, 1,000%. But holy crap, what just happened? We need to appreciate it. This is not normal. Dan Campbell said it after the game. This may be our only shot. He literally said that.
Yeah, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. That's the reality of the NFL. It's crazy to me that he's already tied his dad with what's felt like such a short run. And dude, to do that with, like, we've seen in these playoffs how hard it is to win playoff games, how hard the margins, like how much the quarterback makes a difference. Like just Mahomes, how perfect he's playing for the Chiefs, what a difference that makes. And this man did it with Jimmy Garoppolo. He was terrible in every single playoff game he played with, and he won that many playoff games with him. And then Brock Purdy, who's played well in the playoffs, was still a 7th-round rookie quarterback last year. Now, he has poise and maturity that's well beyond and very different from any other 7th-round rookie quarterback, but it just goes to show what a great coach Shanahan is.
JJ00.
Top 5 win, I'm with you.
Yeah, it has to be. JJ00 on Twitch says, my dad and I were watching the game and were really down. My mom came through the living room and saw the score and said, oh, that sucks, but they'll figure it out and make a comeback. Shout out to mom.
That's so patronizing. I think my mom came in and did that while me and my dad were watching the game. We said, go away, leave.
Look, she was right. So
when they hit you with the, it's not like, it's almost like it's not a big deal. Like, what do you mean it's not a big deal? It's my team.
And, look, I know Brock Purdy's getting a lot of love and he deserves it. But Vish, I think it's like a real thing. Like when he starts and finishes a playoff game, he buckles down in the clutch moments of the game. He's done it 2 straight weeks now.
Yeah.
But that's, we don't know, but he might just be one of those guys that has that ultimate clutch gene. Right now, it sure looks like it.
I don't know if we'll find out about the clutch gene. Because it's very easy to have it and then lose it. And it's very like the clutch gene has different definitions for different players. And there's different ways to call somebody clutch and not clutch at the same time. So there's a lot of different things about that. But the one thing he does have, he has 2 things. One is kind of a joke. One is actually true. The kind of a joke is he seems to have the quote unquote shamrock up his ass, which I used to think Brady always had, where it just felt like it's not just that Brady was excellent, but Brady also was excellent with always the 8 or 9 things to make his job easier that needed to go right would always go right. And it was always like that. Purdy seems to have a little bit of that. I've never had that swing of moments and emotions as a Niners fan to watch the Aiyuk play, watch the fumble and be like, holy cow, like what can go right is going right. Like everything is happening for the 49ers in a way that it should and all of that. So there's definitely that. And then the other thing he does have is he has insane poise and grit and toughness. He just keeps his head throughout the game. And that really is what happens, man. That really is what happens. He just stays poised. He stays tough. He stays grounded, and he's able to just continue to take it one play at a time, one play at a time, one play at a time, and build on it.
Last thing I want to say, because this has been a long show. We have seen in the playoffs lately, the 49ers have some of the craziest freaking playoff games out of any team. And I'm thinking back to the comeback against the Giants. Hell, even the Terrell Owens catch against the Packers, the crazy game against the Saints
game,
2011. Yes. Yeah. Like we have seen some wild playoff games from the
Atlanta comeback in the Georgia Dome, which was the loudest stadium in the league that year.
The Kaepernick, the first time against the Packers, where he just goes absolutely berserk, and then the next year in Lambeau,
right?
In 2021 in Lambeau in the snow with the block punt, like it's
the Raheem Mostert game. Yeah, well, that was in chaos. That was a blowout, but that was still. The Panthers game was pretty good too in 2013 against Super Cam when Kaepernick buttoned up the Cam celebration and Kaepernick on him.
That was pretty good. So we have seen it, man, and just sit back and enjoy it, especially today. Go listen to everything today because they're all going to be giving the 49ers their flowers because they deserve it. They upstaged Mahomes doing crazy Mahomes things. The Niners are the story of the day today. The Niners are the story of the day today. So enjoy it, everybody.
And they're the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Right. They're still favored, I think, over the Chiefs, although I think it's down to like 1 or 1.5. It opened at 2.5 and it immediately moved down. But anyway, make sure you like and subscribe to both YouTube channels. You will be a better, smarter fan. Again, reminder, we are going to Vegas, baby. We will be in Las Vegas covering this team for you. Hell yeah. I got my Victory Monday shirt on. If you want one, by the way, click the link in the description. You can get it at Homage. Anyway, Vish, I'm sure I'll text you 10,000 times between now and tomorrow.
I'm looking so forward to this. This is going to be an electric 2 weeks. I love the build up to the Super Bowl. I can't wait to see this. I'm so excited that the 49ers are back. You know, this could culminate in possibly, no offense to my family members, no offense to myself, I guess, in some ways, because it's kind of sad and pathetic. But this 2 weeks could culminate in what could be, what might possibly, honestly, Rob, be the greatest moment of my life, which would be the Niners winning a Super Bowl.
Oh boy, you are a young man, my son. Anyway,
hey, you have kids. You can't say that out loud. Like, that's a messed up thing if you say it. I have only things in life that it's just kind of messed up if I say that the Niners winning the Super Bowl would be the most important thing for me.
Right. Don't worry about it, everybody. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. This is rare. One more game, and the Niners are Super Bowl champions. We'll be all over it for you. Have a good Monday, everybody.